For a lot of people, the difference between completing a marathon and not completing a marathon is all about fueling. If you watched my last video, I talked all about how AI helped me create my running plan. Well, I also used AI to help create my fueling plans that I will use for my marathon and every single long run leading up to it. So in this video, I'm going to talk all about how I did that, why it's important, and how you can do the same thing to optimize your fueling strategy. We are in week 12 of my 18-week series, which is insane to say because we're getting close. This is the week it gets really real because it's going to be my biggest week. We've got 40 miles for this week, and this is where fueling really becomes the most important part. Now, running my first marathon, I made a ton of mistakes. The biggest one being fueling, because that's what held me back the most. I was one of those people that thought I could grab a handful of gels and that would work for me. That's all I needed. I just needed some electrolytes, some gels, some carbs to get me through it. What I didn't know was that everyone's different. Everyone sweats at different rates. Everybody requires different amounts of electrolytes and different types of electrolytes to help sustain the effort over a full marathon. Now, I paid for that big time. I ended up cramping about mile 14, 15, and it was really tough to finish. I finished very slow, and that's the number one thing that impacted my time in my first marathon. Since then, I've learned that my body loses significantly more sodium over time. So the reason why I cramped up was because as the race went on a hot day, I needed more and I didn't have it. I truly can't believe we are I guess technically 6 weeks out from 6.5 weeks out from this marathon. It's been insane. It's flown by. One thing I'm thankful for is the weather is finally starting to get nicer. I've really appreciated these nice sunny days, especially for my long runs. It's helped out so much. If you've not seen any of my other videos, quick introduction, I am a dad of 2, including a 1-month-old. So hopefully you can relate. Running with kids is not easy. So I'm doing whatever I can to help give tips, give motivation, whatever it is to help you achieve your goals while living a busy life. That's what it's all about. Today we're talking all about fueling. In the last video, I talked all about how I used AI to create a running plan, and that's been going fantastic. I've really enjoyed the running, but more specifically, I've enjoyed the flexibility. If there's a question I had about the plan or feedback that I want from a run, I can directly upload that into Claude and get the feedback. So I finished the Air Force Marathon last September. I finished in about 4 hours and 50 minutes. I had no goal that I was setting for that race, but I had hoped it was a little quicker. The number one issue I had was fueling. I didn't know what fueling meant. I had some BPN gels. I think I grabbed 5 or 6 of them that I plan to take every half hour, 45 minutes. I think that math's out correctly. I thought that was enough. In addition to that, there were aid stations with electrolyte drinks, water. I would grab pretty much 1 electrolyte drink, 1 water at each station. There were also tables set up with bacon and pickles, and I was lost by that. But looking back, that would have actually helped me out a ton because I was missing sodium. I had the electrolytes, but BPN's gels aren't high in sodium. So looking back, that's exactly what happened. I was low on sodium, I cramped up. The cramping was horrible because there's nothing you can do about it. It's a little windy today, so I don't know. I hope this audio is coming through. I'm going to preface this next part with I have way too much running stuff and I nerd out way too much over a lot of this. So after that race, I looked into how can I figure out an optimal fueling plan? And what I came across were some devices, one device in particular that analyzes your sweat and tells you exactly how much electrolytes, how much sodium you're losing in your sweat. And it's a wearable, it goes around your arm. It's called hDrop. I've talked about it in videos before, but essentially I bought that, completely unnecessary. I think Gatorade actually has like a temporary one that you put on and it's, one-time use, but it gives you that data also, I think. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, I got the hDrop, and the data it gives is really cool. You can see your total sweat volume that you've lost, total sodium, all the metrics that you would need. Temperature also. So in wearing this, I wore it for a long run. And obviously, they're going to be different depending on conditions. So an outdoor run at 80 degrees is going to be different than an indoor run in a cooler gym with air conditioning on it. I lost about 1.2 liters of sweat an hour. And my sodium loss was about 900 to 1300 milligrams per hour. And in the Air Force Marathon, I replaced about 500 milligrams per hour. So there's a big gap there. That pretty much alone tells me everything I need to know about why I cramped up. It's in the data. It's very clear. The other thing I found out from the hDrop data was that my sodium concentration in my sweat actually rose the longer I went. So as I got more hot, as I got more tired, that concentration rose, meaning I needed more electrolytes, more sodium to replenish that. So having the hDrop was great. I had all this data. I had all the information I needed. I just didn't know what to do with it. And that's where AI comes in yet again. So when I used AI last week to build my running training plan, I also had it build a fueling plan for my race, for the marathon coming up, but also every long run leading up to it. And the reason why AI is such a good source for this is because Claude, ChatGPT, it lets you upload whatever you want. So I was able to export my hDrop data into a CSV, put it in the Claude, and then it had that information of all my runs that I've worn the hDrop, and it helped create a plan based on that, my own data. Marathon training isn't just training your legs or training your cardiovascular system, your heart. You got to train your gut too, because when you're running a marathon, you have to fuel, you have to have carbs, you have to have all the things. And if you just go race day and just have a random assortment of things, your gut is not going to handle it well. You're going to have to stop, go to the bathroom. You're not going to feel good. Probably not going to finish the race if you do it that way. So part of the training, the long runs especially, are practicing that fueling, getting your gut ready. So my progression, what AI has helped me understand and is helping me doing, I'm going from about 30 to 35 carbs per hour in week 11 last week to about 40 to 45 this week with the increase in mileage. And by race day, I should be about 50 grams to 60 grams of carbs for marathon day, 50 to 60 grams per hour. I don't know if I said the per hour part, but that's an important fact. The other great part about using AI was that I didn't just want, numbers. I didn't just want, hey, take this amount of carbs in this time frame. I wanted specific use cases. I wanted to know, okay, if I use Cliff Blocks, I have some nerd clusters, I have some LMNT packets. When should I use those specifically? And also telling AI, here is exactly what I have. Build a plan based on this. So that's what I did. I entered in everything I had and said, build me out a fueling plan. And it did that really well. It also gave me suggestions on things that could benefit on top of what I was having. So it recommended I have some salt stick, which I know is a very popular thing. Those are more just capsules or things you swallow. So you use water, swallow them during the race. It's a high concentration of sodium. It's also something you don't have to chew, which is really nice because chewing and eating things gets really hard on a marathon. So this week specifically, I've got a 16-mile long run. It'll be my first time adding in salt stick tabs. I will have Cliff Blocks we're bumping up a little bit. We are having LMNT packets, one in each of my water bottles. We're having water. We're having nerd clusters. We're going all out. The only other thing that I don't have yet that may come up in race day is, I can't even remember the name of this thing. Martin, I don't know how to say that right, but Martin gels. I got away from gels because they kind of upset my stomach in the past. These are supposedly much better on your gut and not making you feel like that. So gonna try that, I think, for race day because everything I have is really sugary and it's hard to have that much sugar, especially every half hour, 45 minutes, whatever it is that it calls for. It's hard to keep chewing like that. So adding in some gels, I think, towards the end is going to be really good. And that's something the AI plan recommended. So just some of my numbers specifically. that AI helped me create, I'll have about 3,700 to 4,200 milligrams of sodium, 200 to 240 grams of total carbs, and that is 3 to 4 times the amount I had during the Air Force Marathon. That is going to make a massive difference, and that is why I think I can go from a 4-hour 50 marathon time to a sub 4 hours, which is our goal. Now, this all sounds great on the spreadsheet. Sounds really easy. Really. It's all laid out exactly when to take everything. But I haven't actually done that yet. Sunday's run, the 60-mile run, is going to be the big test. So yeah, nothing to do now, I guess, but run it.
It's Sunday, time for my long run. I talked about the things that I will be having and fueling with on the run, but I wanted to show you too because it's always better to see. Well, first of all, hDrop. This is the sensor. Hopefully you can see that okay. This is the sensor I'm going to use to track my sweat. It just goes around my arm, just like that. Boom. And by the way, pro tip, if you are prepping for a race and getting everything ready, do it the night before if you've got an early run, especially on race day, because it took me probably 20-25 minutes to get all this ready, and it was, it just took a while. So, I've got my bag of goodies here. In here, we've got the Cliff Blocks, and we've got Nerd Clusters. So this is my bag of sugar. This is carbs. So I'll alternate between the two. Like I mentioned earlier, we'll be upping the Cliff Block, so I'll have 3 at a time this time instead of 2, just to get that extra carbs and fuel. Here are my salt stick tablets. These are also more sodium, more electrolytes. These make it a lot easier to just take with water because chewing and having all that sugar is a lot. So I got both of those. Here's my waste bag. So it's a little bag I can store things in, but also 2 small water bottles. I've got an LMNT packet in each, which is a lot. LMNT, if you've not had it, very salty. So I like it because it works, but it doesn't taste the best, but I'm used to it at this point, so it honestly doesn't taste bad. Here's my bag full of water. So it's got a hydration bag in here, water, and then I've got my little straw to drink out of. It is gonna be a high of 80 degrees today. It's nice and windy. I'm feeling great. I can't wait to run.
My first instinct is to say I failed. The run was extremely hard. I was confident. I went out there. I ran about 10 miles at the pace I was supposed to, and then I hit a wall. I hit a wall hard. Towards the end of the run, I started to definitely have doubts about not finishing the race. I think I can definitely finish the race, but doubts about my goal time of sub 4 hours. If I can't run a 16-mile long run at a slower pace, how in the world am I going to run 26.2 miles at a faster pace? But failures teach us things. This was not race day. This was practice. Towards the end of the run, I was thinking about, okay, this video is all about my fueling plan and AI and how great this plan was that I created. Seemingly, the plan failed me. I hit a wall, which tells me that something went wrong in what I was consuming, and fueling is the reason I wasn't able to sustain the effort. But that's the whole point of this two-way communication. I am now able to take this data, upload it into Claude, and we can figure out together what happened. I exported the data, so the Strava data, I just took screenshots. I took the hDrop data, so you're able to export that into a CSV. And then I uploaded the plan, so Claude knows the plan we're following, which is referenced in other chats. So I think it would remember that, but just in case. So starting with the good, the first 10 miles were solid. We stuck to the pace and the heart rate was steady and controlled. This was also a very hilly course. I've run this in the past and it's always a struggle. So maybe I should have known that. It was a hilly course and most of the hills and elevation is towards the end. The Flying Pig is going to be the opposite. The hills are towards the beginning, and then it's mostly flat / downhill after mile 10 or so. The bad, my pace declined after mile 10, which of course we know. until I was eventually walking for most of the last couple miles. Now, Claude asked me a couple of follow-up questions about my, did I have GI issues with what we took, what we consumed? Did I cramp? And both of those were fine. I had no GI issues. I did not cramp. So based on everything, we got some conclusions. My sodium rate loss was similar to what we've seen previously and confirmed I am a heavy sweater. Confirmed my sodium concentration kept climbing as the run went on, meaning I really need to stay consistent in what I'm taking to get me to the end of the run. But probably the biggest thing, and this is obvious, I didn't need AI to tell me this, but it did help. It's March in Ohio. I've had some very cold runs. I've had some moderate temperature runs. The weather during this run was neither of those things. The weather was hot. The sun was out, and I've not had to deal with that yet. My AI coach was optimistic. The diagnosis was heat, not fitness. My body's surface temperature climbed from 90.6 to 107.5, and the ambient conditions that during the run were about 83 with 76% humidity. The progressive slowdown is textbook heat-induced fatigue, not a fitness collapse. Basically, AI is telling me if it was normal conditions for this time of year and what my race will be, the fueling strategy would have worked just fine and I would not have hit that wall because it was heat-induced this time. Claude recommended it most everything stay the same about my plan because the weather on this run was an outlier. Now, AI can be really optimistic, and this is something you really got to be careful of because AI notoriously agrees with you on just about everything. But everything it's saying about this run makes sense and matches up with how I felt and what I think was going on. And it's definitely reassuring because I was in a bad spot mentally after this run. I felt like there was no way I'm going to hit my goal. And because of this, because of what we came up with, I'm not losing hope of the goal just yet. This week's half marathon will be the big test because it will be normal conditions. It's starting early. There's going to be race atmosphere. So this is really going to be the real test about whether or not I can hit this goal. To sum it all up, last year completed my first marathon, had issues cramping. We knew we needed to make a change, so I was able to get the data and use AI to help me create a fueling plan based off of my own data about what my body does during this kind of run. AI is absolutely fantastic for this kind of thing because it's completely customized and it's a two-way communication. It's not generic, it's based off of your own data, your own body. You're able to build towards a race day with actual information, not just guessing. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other suggestions for fueling plans or anything you're doing that's different than this, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it and build on my own knowledge. And like I've talked about already, next week is week 13. This is our B race. I'm going to talk all about it. I'm going to show you the plan we put together for this race specifically, what my goals are, and then the outcome. Did I achieve my goal in this race? Is the sub 4 marathon still possible? Stay tuned.